Hello everyone, I hope you're all keeping well and also welcome to our first module on the ALN pathway on the National MA Education for this year, which is Ymarfer Cynhwysol yn y Dosbarth or Inclusive Classroom Practice. So during this brief recorded presentation, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview about the module, including who you might meet in terms of the teaching team. I will also think a little bit about some key dates, in particular the National Conference Saturdays, and think a little bit about the assignment itself. So just as a quick introduction to the team, so my name's Di Thomas. I am the tutor at Swansea University, so I will be working with you closely as a Swansea University cohort. However, during the National Conference Saturdays, we will be joining together with the cohorts from Trinity St David's, Aberystwyth, Bangor, Wrexham, Cardiff Met and University of South Wales and so on, and you can see members of the teaching team who will be involved in those Saturday sessions as well. So myself from Swansea, we have Megan Hicks from Aberystwyth University, Christina Kelly from Cardiff Met, we've got Carmel Conn from the University of South Wales, we have Darren O'Connor from Trinity St David's and Clive Underwood from Bangor University. So what I'm going to cover, as I said, in this presentation today then is a quick look at the logistics of the module in terms of some key dates and what the National Conference days look like, and also the assessment itself. Now, although this is a recorded session, I will be putting together a Teams meeting which you are more than welcome to join at, and hopefully we can talk about some of these things together in person online. So these slides are in both Welsh and English, so with apologies I am going to skip through the Welsh ones and concentrate on the English versions. So in terms of our module map, so you would have had your induction session with Sean Owens on Thursday, which was the 25th of September, introducing the modules, introducing the course itself, and having a bit of an opportunity to meet other peers who are on the programme. Now, 3 key dates for you on here. The first one is Saturday the 18th of October, and Saturday the 18th of October will be our first National Conference session. And then the second National Conference session will take place on Saturday, November the 15th. Now, these National Conference sessions will take place on Teams. There is an expectation that we will all join for these. And the aim of these sessions then is to support your kind of asynchronous work that you will be working through the range of readings and facilities that are up on PLP on the EWC website. And a final key date then, the assignment for this module will be submitted on Thursday the 8th of January by 1 minute to midnight on that day. So sounds like that's quite far off, and it is to some extent. So what we will be doing then over this term is working through this module, which has 4 core strands. Core strand 1 and core strand 2 will be the focus of the first National Conference. Core strand 3 and 4 will be the focus of the second National Conference. And both National Conference Saturdays will also make a link to the assignment as well. So one of the key things in terms of how to be successful within this module and also in your studies generally this year, I would say would be in terms of reading. So focus your reading, and a key feature which does have an impact on people's marks going forward is referencing and citation, both in terms of the quality and quantity and the accuracy of resources that you have used and how these are cited and referenced within your assignment. And I quite like this point at the bottom of this slide. Take nothing at face value and challenge all that you believe to be true, as you may find that it probably is not. So where can you find out about writing style? So you will be signposted through the National MA Education Home Hub on Canvas through Swansea University, for example, to library services. I will also put some support up onto Canvas at Swansea as well for our module, and you can always get in touch with me in addition to academic skills if you would like further support for this. So I just wanted to mention two things really. One of the key challenges potentially sometimes with these modules of the National MA is that information is shared in two different places, and working out how to access both of those and understand what information is found in both places. So the first one I'm going to mention is the VLE, the Virtual Learning Environment. Now, different universities across Wales use different versions of these. Some might use Moodle, some might use Blackboard, for example. At Swansea University, we use a VLE which is called Canvas. And what you will find when you log into the module on Canvas, this is where you will find the Swansea University specific information. So the dates that we at Swansea University have our tutorials, for example, how to contact me or Sean at Swansea University, and this is where you will submit your assignment on the 8th of January as well. The other place that you will find information, and realistically this is where you will find the the workbooks, this is where you will find the written information that you will work your way through, this is where you will find all the resources and readings, and this is on PebblePad, which is part of the PLP, the Professional Learning Passport, which is found on the EWC, the Education Workforce Council website. So all of you as part of your professional role should have access to EWC. You will need to log into your EWC account through your normal work-based credentials to get into that, and you should in your resources section find a link to the Inclusive Classroom Practice module there. That said, excuse me, in that particular section, this is where you'll find all the written preparatory tasks and reading resources to support your learning through the module. Swansea University Canvas, then, as I said, this is more logistical in terms of where to get support, how to get in contact with me. This is where you will submit your assignment and you will log into that using your Swansea University credentials. You will find that as we go through the module, I will send you emails, I will send you messages through Swansea Canvas system as well. So just a brief introduction as to what to expect now. We will meet for optional drop-in tutorial sessions at Swansea. These will be specific to us in our setting. All the other universities will have similar. But we will all come together as a national cohort for the 2 national conference Saturdays, and they will very much follow this particular format. So the aim is that they will start at 9:30, so we would suggest you try and pop along at about 9:20, for example, just to make sure that you are able to access the link to join, or if there are any issues that you can get in contact with me so that I can try and fix that for you. The first half hour of the session then tends to be a welcome or introduction session. So this is where we might spend time talking about academic writing, for example, or talking about how what we're covering today links to the assignment. And then during the session itself, then we've got a number of further sessions that follow through. So session 1 covers most of the morning. So this, for the first national conference, will be when we discuss learning strand or learning outcome 1, for example. We then have a quick comfort break, and we are then following this with what we call the Ask the Expert session. So this is where we have a range of different academics or practitioners from outside of the course team who come along and share examples of practice or research in relation to inclusive classroom practice. The afternoon session then follows a short lunch break, and on the first national conference day this will focus on course strand 2. And then the final 10 minutes or so of the day tends to be a plenary session where we kind of sum up what it is that we've learned throughout the day and thinking about setting those next steps before we meet for the next one. So no questions at this point, obviously, but we will do when we meet in person. Obviously, we don't have a chance to get to know each other at this point, but hopefully we will do in person as well, online. So next key thing then is, what does the assessment look like? Now, the assessment itself is a 4,000 word piece of work, and the title of this is to create strategies to support inclusive classroom practice and to reflect upon their effectiveness in the classroom. And the guidance suggests that you should identify and discuss up to 3 strategies that you personally have implemented in your teaching to support inclusive classroom practice. So realistically, you are going to be focusing on reflecting upon your own personal professional practice in your particular setting, however that looks. Strategies that you might be talking about, you will have to have implemented them. However, it doesn't mean that you have to have produced these yourselves, for example, but you will be reflecting on your experience of doing something, implementing a strategy within your classroom and underpinning the reasons why that strategy was attempted and whether it had been beneficial or impactful or not, and trying to think the reasons why it was or wasn't and what the next steps or alternative actions might be. So in terms of the assignment then, the assignment is split into 2 different sections, and we've suggested approximately 500 words for section 1. However, it is quite a tight word count for that section, so if you were somewhere up to about 750 words, I would suggest that is entirely fine. So the aim of the first part of the assignment then is to allow you to provide an overview of inclusion in your setting. So in other words, you are going to be setting the scene for the reader, in other words me, as to where you work and giving some background in terms of inclusion. So what does your setting do in relation to inclusion? Is it successful? How do you know it's successful? Do you think things are needing to be approved, or are there examples of good practice, for example, that you think could or should be shared more widely? The second part of the assignment then focuses on you talking about either 1, 2 or 3 strategies. So you will have somewhere between 3,250 to 3,500 words in terms of talking about these. And you will also be asked to use an identified reflective theory to structure your response, in addition to drawing upon literature to support the discussion about the strategies that you have used to support inclusion in your classroom. Now, although this module is part of the ALN pathway, inclusion obviously means everyone. So you may find that, depending upon your setting, your inclusive strategies very much focus upon learners with English as an additional language, for example, rather than those with an additional learning need. You might find that your strategies might be to support academic progress, they might be supporting behaviour, they might be supporting well-being. You might have a mixture of one of each of those, for example. So there is no one right way of doing it. Equally, there are all sorts of different reflective theories, like Gibbs's reflective module, or the what, so what now what model from Driscoll, for example. And again, we will talk about these modules as we go through. Now, again, it's entirely up to you which one of the modules that you choose. However, you will need to structure your response so that that reflective model that you use is evident within your answer. And I would also suggest it's good practice to put in a little bit of information to explain why you've chosen that particular model. So within your discussion about the strategies, then you are going to be identifying and describing the strategies to support inclusive classroom practice that you've chosen. How have you used the strategies in practice and for what purpose? You will be asked to think about what might have been the challenges faced by the learners that you've decided to use these strategies with, and how have these particular strategies attempted to overcome those challenges. You may want to think about, were there any particular challenges for you as the member of staff implementing these strategies, or for your learners in your settings more widely, for example. And then you'll be asked to think a little bit about exploring the application of the identified strategies in a wider context. So, for example, in your particular classroom setting, you have done something that works really well with your learners. Is that something that could be more broadly adapted across the school? If so, what might be the challenges or facilitators to putting that into practice? And finally, you may want to think a little bit about how you can challenge current practice and influence change. So you've seen strategies that have worked well that other people may be not using as much. So how might you be able to encourage them to adopt those? Equally, you might find that your setting has, across the setting, adopted strategies that you don't feel are working very well, and you have alternative strategies that you might want to trial instead. How might you facilitate those discussions, for example? Now, there's quite a lot to take on board in terms of this slide. Obviously, as we work our way through the module and have the opportunities to meet up with each other, we will go through this in far more detail. What I would say is, when you get access to PLP on the EWC website, if you open up the module, click on the assignment guidance tab at the top of the page. If you scroll down to the bottom of the tab that opens up, you will see there that there are some examples of previously submitted assignments that your peers on previous cohorts of this module have offered to share, so that you can take a look to see what this might look like going forward. In terms of the marking criteria then, so there are 5 particular learning outcomes linked to this module, and you can see that there are a range of different marks for these. So learning outcome number 1 is looking at critically engaging with current debates around inclusion and how this connects with current legislation and practice. So in other words, your overview to your assignment will focus very much on that. You will see then that 10% of the mark is linked to describing the strategies that you've identified and how it supports the practice and how it can be implemented effectively. You will also be credited for exploring critically how you've adopted the practices or strategies and for what purpose. And then you will see that there are a larger range of marks available for critically evaluating the challenges faced by the learners. So what were the issues your learners were facing which encouraged you to introduce this strategy? So it could be, for example, that you've been working with some learners who are dyslexic, who hadn't been getting on very well with kind of traditional phonics-based strategies in the classroom. So you have adopted a morphology or morphological approach to support their understanding of how words are built, as an example. You will be asked then as well to critically explore the identified strategies in a wider context. So you were doing this in your classroom. Could it be scaled up? Are there barriers? Is there something that's very specific to your setting, which means the strategies only work there? And you will also be credited for the clarity of the reflective model being evident within your assignment. So if you use the Gibbs model, as we mentioned earlier, then we should be able to see each of the steps of the Gibbs model being evident in terms of how you've structured your assignment. And then finally, 5 marks represents referencing, and by referencing we are looking here at referencing, citation and general academic writing for the assignment. Just a brief outline in terms of the assessment process itself. So 50% is a pass mark for the module, so scoring 50 to 59 is in the pass boundary, 60 to 69 is a merit, 70% plus is a distinction. It occasionally happens, although not very often, thankfully, that students don't meet the pass mark. If you did find yourself in that situation, then you would have a second attempt at a module. However, any second attempt is capped at 50. And finally, in relation to the assessments, as we mentioned earlier, these will be submitted to Canvas at Swansea University by 1 minute to midnight at the latest on Thursday, the 8th of January 2026. A little bit here in terms of thinking about avoiding mistakes. So realistically, we all know how challenging it is and time consuming it is working in education settings, but please try not to delay writing your assignment until the last moment. It's good practice to try and have a critical friend, and one of the key things I would like us to do within our drop-in sessions is to offer some peer support to each other in terms of drafts of assignments as we go through. Make sure you leave enough time to edit and polish your work. If you are discussing ideas or theory, then please make sure that these are underpinned, and make sure that you read widely around the topics. Two key things at the end of the slide I think are fairly self-evident. Please try and engage in all the sessions that are offered, and if you are unsure on anything, then please just ask. This is just a quick screenshot showing roughly what PebblePad looks like. So you can see when you log into the module, your page will look like this. You can see the core strands going across the top of the screen. You can then see there will be a space for the National Conference Saturday materials, which will be published both in advance, and the recordings will be published on here as well as soon as we possibly can. We normally get them up there by no later than the following Monday morning, and you will see there is the assignment guidance tab on there as well. The one thing I just wanted to mention in terms of the PebblePad, all of you will have your own unique page on this, and when you log into the module on PebblePad, if you make any notes on there, for example, you are also the only person who can see those. So please kind of use this in any way that you want. Students previously have noted that it was quite useful in terms of using this as an online notebook in terms of jotting down their thoughts and ideas as they worked through particular tasks. For example, anything that's posted on PebblePad, again, you were the only person who can see it, and it's not credit bearing in any way. And then we got the same page in Welsh. And then finally, for now, here is my email address if you'd like to get in touch. I will shortly, once I've posted this to the module on Canvas, send you all a message discussing the module in a little bit more detail, and with some details, including a Teams link of when we will meet together for kind of an informal discussion and just to kind of meet with each other as a group. So before I finish, I apologise for the croaky voice. Really looking forward to working with you through the module this year, and I wish you every success with this module and also with your wider national MA studies moving forward. So diolch yn fawr, thank you for listening.